What would you do if they brought the power grid down? And by they, I mean if the government purposefully brought the power grid down. And I'm not asking that question for fun. I'm asking that question because the World Economic Forum is predicting that a cyber pandemic, you can look this up, they've been running exercises about it this year, is inevitable. You're probably saying, what is a cyber pandemic? It doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we even talking about? Well, first and foremost, the reason I'm even paying attention to the World Economic Forum and their exercises is because they notoriously, in 2019, ran an exercise for a coronavirus pandemic that oddly all became true.
I mean, I don't think the average person has any idea that this threat exists.
Yeah. No, they don't. The vast majority of the people don't.
Information Security discovered that 90% of the products used to manage America's electric grid contained contributions from developers who said they were working in Russia or China.
It's not, let's just say the power grid goes out, okay? Yeah. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
I know.
I just don't know when it's gonna happen. Meaning, is it gonna be in 2024 during election year? Because they're scared that Trump could actually win. Is it going to be next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? I believe it's going to happen. You best just do whatever you can to be ready for it. Some people are maybe saying, well, I don't have the kind of money. You guys got the money. This isn't about money. There's ways of preparing in different ways based on the kind of resources you got.
Hello, YouTube. Thank you for clicking on this video here. For those who don't know me, my name is Alex. You can also follow me on Instagram at AVSpeaks. And so I'm here because I am a speaker. I speak for hundreds of companies from the likes of Google to Amazon to Microsoft, Salesforce. And being that I speak for all these companies, I get to be in a lot of rooms and I learn a lot of things. And because I've learned a lot of things, I feel like there's information that I'm privy to that I would like you to know. One of the things I really want to talk about today is the power grid shutting down. This is not a question of if this will happen, this is a question of when. So, the World Economic Forum came with a prediction that we could possibly have what they call a cyber pandemic. Do keep in mind the World Economic Forum, they did predict COVID-19 and that pandemic, and I'm of the mindset that when these people make a prediction, it doesn't come out of thin air. These are things that are going to happen. We've seen a lot of reports of the power grid being vulnerable, possible attacks. And if the power grid does go down, you need to understand that this can have detrimental consequences. I'm talking about starvation, right? If we can't refrigerate our food, what can happen, right? Are you able to hunt? Do you know how to gather your own food if you don't have a supermarket, a grocery store? How are we going to have light? Sanitary issues, carbon monoxide poisoning, a whole host of things that can happen if we were to have no power, no internet, no phone coverage, no way of keeping in touch with our family and our friends. And so I want to give you some tips of some things that you can do now to prepare for this. Because if I don't tell you, I don't know if somebody else will. The first thing that you need to make sure that you have in this event is access to water. You can survive longer with water than food. Water is important. You cannot go too long without water. So, in perfect world, you'll have access to a well. If you have the funds to have access to a well, that'll be pivotal to have well water. But if you do not have that, start stocking up on water now. Get gallons of water now. Keep in mind that everybody in your home will probably need 1 gallon a day. We consume a lot of water. When we use the restroom, we need water. We wash our face, we need water. You need to drink water, right? So make sure that everybody has at least a gallon a day. What I recommend is getting those large jugs of water. I'm going to put some links down in the description below, some things that you can get, but make sure you have plenty of water. I would say have at least 6 months of water. Okay, water is going to be extremely pivotal. Next thing that you're going to need is food. Right? After water, we need food. We need to eat, right? You want to stock up with food that will not expire. Rice, beans. Market shelves are probably going to be empty. Remember when COVID-19 happened, we had no toilet paper, right? But we still had food. Now imagine if there's no grocery stores, that there's no electricity, there's no way for you to pay with your debit card or your credit card. How are you going to eat? You need food that will not expire, Right, I'm gonna make another video here of some tips of how you can make sure you preserve your food and what types of food to have. But you wanna have food that's not going to expire, canned food. The next thing that you'll need is lights, right? You need to be able to see. Not being able to see, if everything is pitch dark, just think about it. Breaking a toe, falling down the stairs, these things are highly likely. If you live with elderly people or you have children, they may be able to hurt themselves. So you want to make sure that you have light. Now, one thing that I recommend is solar power light bulbs. Those are great because they get their energy from the sun. But keep in mind, if there is an EMP attack, then all batteries will be fried. Your phone batteries will be fried. The batteries that can help generate solar power, those could be fried. So just keep that in mind. There's something called Faraday shields, right? You can get Faraday bags, Faraday shields to help protect your batteries. I highly recommend that you have some here. And I'm going to go into detail about that in another video, but you want to have a light source. One thing that I'm stocking on with my family are candles. Right? Candles that can last long periods of time. I'm going to put some links on some down below, but you want to make sure that you have light sources. You'll be surprised. Again, when it's pitch dark at night, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and it starts to get dark, you're going to want some light sources. Now, another thing that you're going to want to make sure that you have is communication. Now, if the cell phone towers go down for 4 hours, they have to be able to run on battery power. Do keep in mind, if we have an EMP attack, like I told you, all batteries will be completely fried. So for those 4 hours that you have access to your phone, it is absolutely important that you reach out to the right people. Do not waste any time. Reach out to family members, right? Make sure that we start developing a plan, how we're going to stay safe. One thing I recommend is walkie-talkies. Now, again, do keep in mind, if you have batteries, if it's an EMP attack, they could be completely burnt out. But for example, if you have a Faraday bag and you put your batteries in there, after the EMP attack, you can put the batteries in the walkie-talkies and you'll have access to communicate with your family within your home. Some walkie-talkies can go 3, 4, 5 miles to help keep you in contact with neighbors, possibly just to make sure that we help keep each other safe. Don't forget, this is not a matter of if it's going to happen, it is when. There's an election this year. I don't know if it's going to be in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but this will happen. Their predictions always come true. So you want to make sure that you're ready for that. Another thing that you're going to want to consider is heat. In the winter months, it can get extremely cold, right? So you're going to want to make sure that you have heat. One thing that I recommend is get a sleeping bag. Get enough sleeping bags for everybody in your home so that, we're able to stay warm. Make sure that you have sleeping bags. Also, if you have a fireplace, make sure you know how to use your fireplace. Now, if you are going to build fires, only build fires in your home if it's in a fireplace. Do not build other fires in your home. Even if you have a generator or something like that, you don't want to be using it inside of the home because there's carbon monoxide poisoning and those alarms will not be working. So just make sure that you know how to build a fire. If you can build a fire, try to build it outside. But I highly recommend that you have sleeping bags. And of course, if you have those candles, you could also use those as a source of some heat. Another thing here is when it's warm outside, right? If it's during the summertime, make sure that you drink plenty of water, stay in the shade. If you have to do anything outside, only do it at nighttime. Keep in mind, caffeine and alcohol, they dehydrate you, right? So if you know you're going to want alcohol because you're stressed out, you might want to think twice, all right? Unless you have a well of water, you have a limited supply of water, be very careful with that. Another thing that I highly recommend is ammunition. Last but certainly not least, make sure you're able to protect yourselves. Just keep in mind, if there's no power, there's no electricity, people are starving, people are going through it, you need to be able to protect you and your family. Something else you could also do to prep yourself is there are survival classes that you can take. People that are sometimes misunderstood and they're looked down on, especially as a speaker, I get to go sometimes to some rural areas and speak to people who completely live off their land. Those people are going to have the skill set you're going to want to have. Do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to build a fire? Do you know how to live off the land? What if you don't have electricity? Do you know how to survive? These are life skills that you're going to want to have, and you're going to want to have it now. So you need to do whatever you can to gather as much information on how to survive in these cases. Again, I'm only here giving you this information because if I was not in these rooms with some of these powerful people, I may not know this information. It is out there. You can easily look up the World Economic Forum and see the predictions. Tucker Carlson just had an interview recently where a major actor was coming and saying the power grid is going to go down. The information is out there, but a lot of times, not all of us access the information. So please take this seriously and prepare yourself now. Don't forget, this is not based on if it's going to happen. It's about when it's going to happen. Again, it's your brother here. I wish you all the best, and thank you for watching the video. Please don't forget, click the links below. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be giving you a lot of information, not only pertaining to this, but other things that you need to know, right? You need to know ways that you can make more money if you're not investment savvy. You need to know ways that you can protect yourself, and I'm going to go into detail about other things. So please subscribe and share this video. And if there's something that you would like me to cover, some more information, or if you have some tips, leave a comment below. You never know whose life you can save. Thank you.